Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Lily with Lily of the Light, and we are here doing a Life with Lily episode about sacred movement. And we have someone who has been doing sacred movement for several decades, probably most of their life. So welcome, everyone, to Suzi McNamara, who I have known all of my life. So, hi, Suzi, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing good. So, fair warning, everyone. Suzi has been shouting into the void a little bit and has lost her voice. I'm sorry, it's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny.
Well, it's funny considering most people can hear me across the room when I whisper. So, now it's kind of yeah. I've been enjoying life. Let's put it that way.
Definitely. So, tell us a little bit about you and how you got into sacred movement and why it's important to you.
Okay, so when I was younger, I took dance classes, and those dance classes were your typical, ballet, tap, jazz, that kind of thing. And then when I was in ninth grade, a friend of mine had said, "Oh, come and watch this modern dance." And I went, "What in the world is that?" So I went and I watched it, and I was with other friends way up in the balcony, and I was absolutely mesmerized and stuff. It just touched me on a level that I've never connected to before. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing modern dance quite a bit, and had a great teacher and everything here in town. And then it was really interesting because I was approached by the priest of our church, and he said, for Good Friday, I've seen you dance, Suzi. I would like you to choreograph something. And I went, dancing in church? Are you sure? Dancing in a Catholic church? Are you really sure? And he said, no, I'd really like you to do this. And so that started my journey of, I didn't know what it was called. All I knew is that I connected with it and stuff. And that just led to, as you said, several decades of doing sacred dance, liturgical dance, particularly in churches or that kind of thing, whether it be inside, outside, or whatever. But it was many non-denominational events and whatever that we were asked to do. And at one time we had a dance ministry of 155 members. Mm-hmm. And what was really cool is that also included like families, like moms and dads and little kids and all of this kind of stuff. Because I would start the kids at the age of 3 dancing. Mm-hmm. And whatever. So yeah, that's cool. That's my wee little story.
And then you evolved more past dance into other forms of sacred movement, like the labyrinth, correct? Like that happened a little bit later in life that you discovered more expansion.
What was really interesting is I decided to go on a retreat by myself, and it was up at the Benedictine Nun Center, and had no idea what a labyrinth was, but walked in and went down, was going down to my room. There's this beautiful maze kind of thingy that was, sitting on a table. And I thought, well, this is really kind of cool. So I just stood there and kind of moved with it, with my finger, kind of going around and stuff. And then, I'm in my room and everything, and they got a little brochure of everything that is available to you. And they said that they had an outdoor labyrinth mowed into the grass. And I went, okay, now I definitely have to go look at this and stuff. Oh my gosh. It took me like a half hour to walk it. And well, I walked, I danced, I sang, I did cartwheels, whatever, and stuff. And so that was really cool. And then the other thing that got me too is that it touched me again on a level that I didn't know existed within me and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there was another gal there, and it was raining, and I was out at the labyrinth, and she came out and she said, I am afraid of trusting. And I said, okay. And she said, I don't know what to do about that. And I went, well, do you trust me? And she says, well, I think so. And I said, okay, I'm going to have you walk backwards in the labyrinth, and I'm going to guide you from the front. So
Mhm.
you have to trust me that I'm going to turn you when you need to turn. Because labyrinths typically have like one way in, you walk in and out and all around the, four quadrants and that type of thing. You end up in the center and then you come back out and
Mhm.
stuff. So there's no dead ends. There's no
Mhm.
right or wrong way to walk it, run it, whatever you need to do with it and stuff. And so that too was beyond a powerful experience for me,
Mhm.
like almost transformative for this gal that I was with that I didn't even know, and also
Mhm.
for myself, that the power of movement could um, could just be that powerful,
Mhm.
And like I said, it touched me to my core. Um, yeah, that I believe was waking up, through all these years and years and years and stuff. And so that's pretty exciting for me.
And different forms of sacred movement do different things. Like you had been dancing most of your life,
Right,
and then labyrinths happened, and then that created a different connection to the universe and to yourself and to self exploration. And
right.
I think that's important for people to realize is that it's not just one thing. And
No,
so the question that I have for you now is, so do you think there's a difference between sacred movement and active meditation?
I think that there's a huge similarity. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the huge similarity for me is active meditation and sacred movement both take you to a place where you are almost outside of yourself. And ego is kind of dissipates or whatever, and mindfulness takes center, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that connection of mind, body, and soul, and feeling connected. What many people call to the oneness
Mm-hmm.
is just I think through both the meditative activity and also sacred movement, you get that. But to me, sacred movement is anything that gets you out of your head.
Mm-hmm.
If that is doodling, if that is jumping on a trampoline, if that is walking in nature, if that is doing this with your fingers, or whatever. I got to tell you, the most powerful dance of all the years that I've been dancing and stuff, the most powerful dance that I experienced for myself was I was taking these interplay classes, and I typically am really comfortable with leading. You know what I mean? This is what we're going to
Mm-hmm.
do. Why don't we try this? Oh, you like that? Let's put that into it, and improvisation and all of this kind of stuff. But when it comes to me being front and center and the class watching me, it's like, yeah, no, no, thank you, and stuff. So what the teachers did is they said, okay, it seems like you need backup singers. And I went, okay. So I'm standing there, and they picked three people. I had to close my eyes, so I didn't know what three people it was. And closed my eyes. They were standing in back of me and stuff. And they put on this very deep drum, almost African spiritual music kind of thing. That we were in a studio that had hardwood floors, and I'm barefoot, of course. And you could feel the vibration coming up through the floor. And I just, I was just stunned. And then slowly started swaying, but then all of a sudden in back of me, I couldn't see them. Well, I'd open up my eyes, but I couldn't see them, but I could feel their energy moving with me and stuff. And then I just took one finger and, just slowly started, and all of a sudden, and whatever. Oh, now I'm getting goosebumps. And for everybody, goosebumps for me is when I'm directly connected with spirit. That's how I am let known that, oh yeah, we're here and stuff. So, no, and it got to the point where I was bawling. There was one person that came up and hugged me, and then it turned into this circular kind of dance kind of thing or whatever. And the person that hugged me was the last person I would have expected. So that whole ego expectation thing, yeah, right out the window. And just the connectivity of it all was extremely powerful. Nothing technical, nothing whatever. Pure emotion, pure love, fan-tastic.
Yeah, and that sacred movement can be very structured in like
Yep.
you've taught sacred movement in the form of dance where everyone followed the choreography that you created.
Yes.
But then it can also be freestyle and impromptu and everything like that. And I think for me, the difference between sacred movement and active meditation is the intention you set and the mindset.
Yep.
So active meditation for me is going into myself and zenning out with me, where sacred movement is more opening up to the universe to come in to the experience. And so I think that you're right. It's almost like a Venn diagram with like a lot of crossover that you can do them both at the same time, but they are not the exact same thing. And I lean towards active meditation more than I lean towards sacred movement, but I feel like you lean more towards sacred movement. Imagine
that. Imagine that. Yep. Yep.
So next question I kind of want to ask is one that everyone gives a cliche answer to, and that's fine. But because we're talking about movement and moving your body. And so is this for everybody? Are there limitations? Because like some people are in wheelchairs, some people are bedridden, some people can't lift their arms up over their head. Can they still do sacred movement? Is it because you said like you can do this and this is sacred movement, so you could tap your toe or whatever. And so I feel like that's a limitation that a lot of people put on themselves. Like, oh, I can't do active meditation. I can't do sacred movement because I can't walk in nature, because I can't dance, or because I'm bad at dance. The people who can't, aren't very rhythmic or follow instructions very well. So I started sacred movement when I was 2.5. Yep. And that was the person who taught me. Suzi taught me how to, do it and everything. And you will see videos of, us as we grew and changed and everything. And it's a different experience for everybody, because the look on my face is not the look on her face at all. And it has been commented like, wow, when you guys like dance together, Suzi, I always say like just graceful and delicate and just a look of pure like blissful connection to universe. And me doing sacred movement, like angry, constipated, determined. And it's because it's choreographed and I'm trying to remember the next step. And do I turn left or right? And fuck. And so it wasn't any less sacred for me. It was just a very different experience. And so I think it's important to remind people that every experience is valid. But how do you feel about accommodations and body types doing sacred movement? Like,
oh, see, I just think the more the merrier. I really do. And whatever the limitations are, I firmly believe that those can be worked with, not necessarily around, but worked with. And I believe in breath work. And even if it is breath work that you're doing, like you said, you set that intention and stuff. And two, with sacred movement, you can have music in the background, or you could be playing a drum, or you could be shaking bells, or you could be, do you know what I mean? Kicking a ball. I don't know, whatever, and stuff. I think your description of sacred movement, connecting with the universe, right, and bringing that out, was a very good description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that as you're talking, I'm thinking of like, we've had 150 people dance, but we've also had one. And so it's, well, does sacred movement or active meditation always happen in a group? And with that, I kind of want to remind everybody that every soul is different and everything is different. And so explore, be gentle with yourself, because some people like, for me, my active meditation is doing Pilates every week. I do this in a class. I will never do Pilates alone. To me, it just feels uncentered, unsettling. And it's not that I talk to anybody. No, I have the same constipated, angry look on my face doing Pilates that I do with dance. And so, but it's like, that's what I need. I need that group setting for that. But like other things like walking outside or something, I'm happy to do that alone. And so it can be done alone. It can be done in a group. It can be done in a group of 2 or a group of 150. Or if you get a big enough space, a couple thousand. Remember Woodstock. That type of thing.
I think too, one of the interesting things that I ran into when doing sacred movement in churches and stuff, I was asked one time to talk to a confirmation class about my gifts or whatever. And so we had other people talking about their gift of voice, their gift of, whatever and stuff, and art. And I get up there, and so I have everybody stand up, sit down, and then I look at them and I go, welcome to sacred movement. Because it is. They sometimes, my experience is with some of the sacred movement that I've done throughout the years, there's like a negative connotation to it, that it's it's what?
Witchcraft.
Oh yeah, we've been
called a great many things.
We have. And I think too that you come back to that whole intention thing. It was never our intent to be anything but reverent and spiritual, and bringing each of our own talents and each of our own understanding, which was really cool when you do that in a group, because we're all coming from different places and stuff. And so it is just, I just get thrilled when we support each other and almost feed off of that with each other. That is just so blooming cool. I love it. Yeah.
I remember when I was younger and you got in a fight with a priest. And let me tell you what, that just, yes, that should be on everyone's bucket list. I think I was 5 the first time I fought with a priest, and it was just perfect. Mwah! No regrets at standing up to a priest. And because he was throwing like hella shade on you, on liturgical dance, on sacred movement, on all of us. And at that time, most of us were children that he was being a douchebag to. And it was like, while he was saying these offensive things to you, it's like it was about children and this process of worshiping and loving and connecting to the universe, how we do. And you looked at this human and said, okay, so let's think of a Catholic mass, because it was a Catholic priest.
Sure.
And so you stand, and he said, yes. And you kneel, yes. And you sit, yes. And you walk up to get communion, yes. What part of that isn't sacred movement in the presence of God and in the presence of mass? And he was stumped. Yeah, it was awesome. So it's these little things, like it doesn't have to be flamboyant. We are, but it doesn't have to be like standing and sitting and moving, and all that is movement. And it's important to remember as long as you're not hurting anyone or anything, it's beautiful, and do it your way. And what I mean by that is, I was at Renfest one time, and they were doing the drumming circle at the very end right before Canon, and a guy almost kicked me in the face because he was dancing so big and he was totally in his element, and it was like beautiful and his connection and everything like that. But it became very dangerous for everyone around him. Like, I could have been seriously injured. And I was like, okay, like, no. So remember, like, as long as your sacred movement isn't going to be kicking someone in the face.
Yeah. Yep.
It's valid, whether it's standing, sitting, dancing, walking, anything like that. It's discovering what works for you. And it can be one thing, or it can be 50 things. Because I know, like, playing in the rain is important to me.
Yes.
Walking in nature is a classic for people. But then there's dancing. There's dancing in groups. For me, there's Pilates and like going to the gym and doing yoga. That's a spiritual experience for me.
Right.
And I want to touch on something that's actually really important about sacred movement and active meditation with trauma that a lot of people don't like. They're separate. They're not separate.
Right.
Most people who experience trauma disconnect from their body, and it's a form of dissociating, but it's also a spiritual thing. You are not connected to your sacred vessel. That is a problem with how you're going to function and everything like that. And so doing sacred movement like dance or yoga helps you to heal and helps you be in your body. So it's a practice that a lot of people do after they have trauma, and part of the healing process is to, like Suzi said, just breathe.
Yep.
Feel your stomach move. And that was, for me, healing from trauma and stuff was a big thing that through the healing process, people just kept saying, can you feel your breath? And I was like, no. I was like, it's the same as a heartbeat. It's the same as blinking. No, it's not important.
But
and it's like,
you have to, what you're bringing up is really important as far as being present in that moment for everything that is going on within you and around you, to awaken all of your senses. And what does that feel like? How does this next breath feel different than this one? Where am I holding it? Oh, what is that pain now in my hip? That would be me. What is that pain now in my hip? Or the rolling pin across my back, something like that. So it's, and again, it's not outwardly, it's not a huge thing. Inwardly, it's huge.
And it affects a lot of every part of your existence, touches every other part of your existence. So me, when I started breathing more and doing breathing exercises, and now I do them all the time, it really helped me not just move through trauma, but like be in my body and be aware and everything like that. And it was super important. So yeah, with trauma, breathe and do yoga. And yoga is a big one because some of the studies show that it's hard to begin with, to be in your body and feel that, but it's also, yoga has a lot of very vulnerable poses.
Right.
That are hard for people to do. Think of bug and happy baby, which I do not know if you know those, but I will tell you, you're on your back and you grab different parts of your feet. So your legs are froggied out. You are completely vulnerable. You're wearing clothes, but you are exposed. It is just, and that one is really hard for people to do who have trauma.
Right.
And as you mentioned, the rolling pin in your back, in your lower back, that is actually the part of the human anatomy physically that people hold trauma is in their lower back. And so it's doing stretches and everything can help with that. When you have pain there, that's not physical, not because you shoveled all day, not like that.
Right.
But be aware that sacred movement can help with that, and moving and being aware of that. So I have a list of questions because we're coming up on 25 minutes. And this one, everyone is going to be just a little bit shorter. And it's because we don't want Suzi to lose her voice. I I would laugh hysterically, but I don't think that we should do that just for my personal enjoyment. I think there's more to her life than just making me giggle.
Bless you, my child.
So here's one. What are, I'm trying to think of how to word this, like how I want to word this. Okay, so you do sacred movement and I will do active meditation. So
Okay.
What are examples, like not just ones that you do, but what are examples of sacred movement? Go.
I would say walking, doodling, like I said, even voice work, even chanting, even just singing, because that's all movement, you know. So I know of somebody that they walked 3 hours a day because that's what they needed to do. I know someone else, a tiny little human, that jumps on a trampoline because when her brain just gets too full and stuff, she needs to like jump on a trampoline. And then, you may think, well, that's not sacred movement, but yes, it is, because you are calming this in order to get here,
Yes.
and stuff. So I would say, just almost anything, breathing, just anything that you're moving, that can be sacred movement.
That it's any form of movement that, as long as you have the intention and opening up to your connection to universe.
Yes.
I would agree with that. Active meditation, I would put as, again, it's your intention. The ones that I always think of are yoga, Pilates, exercising, but then it's also walking in nature, and just standing outside and playing in the rain is one that I like.
I know of somebody that does dishes.
Yes, that
is, that's an active meditation for them. So yeah.
Yep. And it's I like exercising, active meditations, because it gets me in my body completely. Because guess what? As I am sitting there doing, if you guys know Pilates and know 100s, you have to be in a very unique position, clenching all of your abs, and then you have to move your arms 100 times up and down. When I do that, I am not thinking that I have dishes to do at home. I am not thinking about trauma. I am thinking, don't lower your legs, don't lower your legs, don't lower, breathe, breathe,
pump. Yep.
Yes, I'm just like, and let's do it. And
Yep.
It's gratifying for me. So I like feeling accomplished with active meditation versus like meditation where I'm just sitting there zenning out. I don't need to feel like I've accomplished anything. But with active meditation, I like feeling like I did something.
Yes.
Another one, I don't know if this would count as sacred movement. Let me know what you think. Cleaning, not just doing dishes, but like, is physically cleaning your house, not energetically cleansing, which they go hand in hand, but physically cleaning your house. Could that be a sacred movement?
See, I think any movement can fall into sacred movement. Just as you said, what is your intention?
Yep.
Right. And yeah. So
definitely.
Because I'm telling you, I know someone else that when they garden, they get a awful lot of messages from the universe. When they're doing anything else, those messages don't seem to be there for them, even though they are. They don't seem to be there for them. But as soon as she goes out into the garden and stuff, it's like all of a sudden she's getting all these signs and all these messages and that type of thing. And it's like, well, hello. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I like that. And so these are examples, and these are just examples that we're coming up with. Like if you come up with other examples, shoot them in the comments. If you have a question, shoot them in the comments. This is live, but watch the replay and ask questions, get involved. Absolutely. We're here for you.
Right.
And try different things. Cause some people like would never think that cause for me, dishes is not a Zen moment. Dishes is a get it the fuck done. But other things, it's like, yes, this is Zen. Like most people would not think Pilates would be and that one is for me, it's extremely difficult. I like to push myself in the class. But to me, like, I always leave feeling amazing and really connected with myself and zened out and just feel better. So we've given some examples. So you do dance and the labyrinth.
Yep.
What are other forms of sacred movement that are like your favorite that you do for yourself in your life? And do you do them alone or do you do them in a group? Which ones do you like doing in a group? That was a lot of questions at once.
Yeah. I think one of the things I enjoy doing is setting up labyrinth walks. And typically the labyrinth walks that I do have like a theme or specific intention. And I like to do it too, where there's different stations that you stop at to bring you a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. And by deeper, I mean different things for you to think about, or there might be an activity that you do or something like that. So I would say that that's one of my favorite ones that I like to do, or whatever. All by my wee little self in my home. I have these wonderful singing bowls that I was just gifted. And I have a big crystal singing bowl, and I've got a couple of drums, and I have a labyrinth painted on the floor in my sunroom. And I just have a wonderful time making music and moving and, you know, connecting and giving thanks. And so, yeah. So you wanted some other ones that I do, but I'm telling you, those are pretty much the staples.
Those are the fan favorites, definitely. And I would like to point out, sheerly out of ego, that most of the ones that she loves were gifts from me.
Yes,
just
they were. Yeah.
Just saying. The giant crystal singing bowl, everything like that. Oh yeah, that was me. Well, me and my father.
And I would have to say, as far as the sacred movement, now here's something that might be a little bit different. I'm not necessarily the one moving, but I have a outdoor fire every morning, no matter what the weather, well, except for raining or sleeting, you know, or whatever. But for me, I can tell when I haven't had that and stuff, and so can others around me. And so I've been told. But to me, it's very easy for me to quote unquote zone out and just go to a whole nother level of myself by watching the flames and by smelling the fire and hearing the fire and that type of thing. So, and now, you know, early in the morning, you got the birds chirping and everyone else with the choir. So, you know, so for me, that would be another one that I would consider sacred. Not me doing the moving per se, although I have, you know, along with the fire, but the actual movement of the fire. And
yeah. And I think that's, you bring up a good point. Like, sacred movement is done as often as you want, as often as you need. So like, you have the fire every morning. I do Pilates once a week. Like, some people, it's going to be, they're going to want to do something every day, like breath work every day, but then other things once a week, or other things once a month, or seasonally, or anything like that. Like, make it fit for you. And I cannot emphasize that enough, because whenever people talk about spiritual practices or different experiences, people have this mindset that it has to look the way that we spoke it. And that is not true. It's going to look exactly how you need it to look. And if someone thinks it's fucked up, it doesn't matter. Like, if it works for you, if you're zenning out to it, absolutely. And so what Suzi brushed on a little bit was that in her house, she has concrete floors, and she has a labyrinth painted on the floor that she can walk. But then also there is, I think it's 21 feet by 21 feet. Yep. And it's a quilt that you walk with 11 different meditation stations. So it's a quilt with the chakra colors going in and out, and it's a labyrinth. And she designed it, she created it. So she doesn't only like make labyrinths and can do them with lights and twinkle lights and flowers and everything like that. she creates them, she designs them. And so I think that's really cool that, because like you just glossed over the fact that you've got a labyrinth on your floor and
I know.
And you make them. Like, who makes them? I don't know many people who make them.
And we do tabletop ones and, you know,
Mhm.
that type of thing. So, and again, what I find and have always found very exhilarating is people's creative processes. And mine is different than yours, is different than whatever. It's the same thing as what you're talking about, finding what works for you. If journaling is what works for you, I've been told over and over and over and over and over again, I should really be journaling. And I'm telling you, yeah, it lasts like a day. And it just isn't it. I don't know. Anyway, but it's the same thing when somebody asks me to create a labyrinth. It's fun for me to sit and listen to what they are looking for, whether it's more than likely the feeling that they want to get from it or something like that, and then to be able to create that jointly with them. That is just really, really fun.
Definitely. And it's I feel like sacred movement can be bonding with people that, you know, like you had said at the beginning, the person that you didn't think was the last person you thought would hug you hugs you. And so it can bring people together a lot to bond on an energetic level through movement. So I think that's really cool.
Right.
Some of my favorites, like we've discussed, the Pilates, the yoga. I used to work for a few years at a yoga studio in Edina that has since closed, but it was called Yoga Soul, and I loved it. I was there, you know, taking classes and working, and it was amazing. But that's what got me into yoga and Pilates, is the fact that I was just surrounded by it all the time. So those became really important to me as far as active meditation, sacred movement. Freestyle dance, like just put on the radio and go for it. I find that fun. I do not do choreographed dances very much anymore. And it's just because it's not available right now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But yeah, and then like walking outside. I would love to play in the rain more. Unfortunately, at where I live, that is not an option because I would play barefoot. And there's there's a pond in the back, which means there's geese, which means there's poo. And I'm not going to play in poop. I'm not that kind of person. Yep. So playing in the rain has to be like on the deck above the poo.
We're going to have to get you a kiddie pool.
Something to play in.
Exactly.
So it's, and you know, most of mine are solo, but then there's the ones like the exercise, which I'll do in classes. But then there's other forms of exercise like the elliptical or something where I'm like, no, I don't need anybody. Just leave me alone so I can breathe like an asthmatic 90-year-old as I go and feel good about myself.
Exactly. Exactly. But you bring up a good point though, too, as far as surrounding yourself with those things. You know, whether it's going to the classes that you like to go to or having things in your home or close to your home that are readily accessible to you.
Yep.
You know, so I find that that's very helpful.
And it's for a lot of people, it's like out of sight, out of mind. So it's like they forget that they like doing it if they're not doing it or if it's not out. Like I can look literally this, and now I'm looking at my active meditation, just turning my head because it's out. Because when it has a place, it has a cupboard, it has a whole cupboard. But when it's in its cupboard, I don't do it. But if it's sitting out on the ottoman, I will walk up and go, yes, I like doing this. This makes me feel better. I was actually feeling quite sick last night. And I was having a lot of pain in my legs. And so I wasn't grounded. I wasn't in my body. And I asked myself, like, what do I need? And what I needed was active meditation. And so I took the stuff that is on the ottoman, and I was doing stretching and moving and myofascial release and that type of thing. to make my body feel better, because it was like, okay, what do I need? But it was out, and so I could see it.
Right.
So a lot of people, it's like, okay, well, I don't know how to do it. It's like, if it's out, put a little Post-it on your bathroom. Remember to walk today. Remember to breathe. Remember to, do a little disco for a few seconds and feel good about it. And if you look silly doing it, that's fine. If you look like me, doing certain things, I look, like we've discussed, constipated or angry, violent. Possessed has also been a way that people describe my sacred movement. And it's because I get into a zone of like severe concentration.
You are so focused.
There's nothing around me. You might light me on fire and I'll notice, but if you lit the person next to me on fire, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's like, nope. And so it's okay if you look mad. Like, I had to warn people before at the yoga studio, because they would stop the class and go, Lily, are you okay? And I'd be like, yes, what? And they're just like, you look really upset. Like, you look like you may kill somebody. We should talk about this. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm concentrating. So it became the thing where if we got to a certain point of the class where that face would happen, everyone go, all right, we're to the hard part. Lily's got the face. And I was just like, yep, it's good. So even if you do make weird faces or whatever, it's fine. If you don't look, like a delicate, graceful, flying feather, whatever, I don't care. Like, it's not about how you look to the outside. It's how you feel on the inside. It's about your connection to the universe. It's about your connection to your soul. And a big thing about sacred movement that we haven't talked about yet is judgment and ego. Those don't go here. Like, it's also, you don't judge yourself, but you also don't judge anybody else. If you're in a group or a class and someone does it differently than you, it's okay. And I do not mean like if you are in a choreographed on Broadway and someone decides to turn the other way, I'm sure one of you is going to poison their tea. And we'll leave that. But I mean, like, if you're just doing sacred movement for you and someone biffs it, it's like, don't stop and go, listen, ho, you ruined it. It's like, no, they're doing it their way. Let them go. Let them be.
There was a time that I wasn't the person that did the choreography. But it was at the beginning of the service or whatever, and then we're going to process in with candles and whatever, and then form a circle around the altar and do this little circle dance around the altar and all of this kind of stuff. And the gal that choreographed it was very precise, very right on, very technically perfect, and stuff. But I had two people on either side of me that are going, Suzi, I don't feel comfortable doing this. Suzi, what the heck am I supposed to be doing? Suzi. So I'm sitting there going, okay, now turn. Which way? I don't care. Just turn, and stuff. So because for me, it was, taking away their involvement and the opportunity to see where this could actually lead them, right? By being hung up on whether they turned right or whether they turned left. I'm telling you, nobody in the congregation is going to know if you turned the wrong way.
Yep. And no one's going to judge you if you did.
Would, but everyone else wouldn't. So I think you bring up a very valid point as far as number one, just try to start. If that's the note on your mirror going, okay, I'm going to stand here and take 5 breaths, 4 in and 8 out, and just concentrate on my breath and how that feels and that type of thing. Okay, very good. And it's just starting, like with so much of this in our lives, it's just starting, putting that first foot, that first breath forward.
Yep. And if you don't want to do it, so the thing that I actually did was when the weather got nicer, I wanted to start walking in nature more. And I knew myself, and I was honest with myself, I ain't going to do that. No.
Oh my
Mm-mm.
gosh.
No matter how much I want to, no matter how much I knew that it was good for me. No, I would, however, hang out with a friend and we happen to go for a walk.
Right.
So my
Right.
friend Cindy and Pops, her dad who's in a wheelchair, we would go to the local park and walk and just walk, the path and back. And it was great. It was like 30, 45 minutes of just walking around once a week. And it
Nice.
was great. And it's like, because that was one where I knew I wouldn't do it alone,
Mm-hmm.
but I would do it with a friend. And so if you're sitting here going, I don't know where to start, ask a friend. You want to go for a walk? Do you want to
Yep.
do something? Do you want to have a dance party on Zoom or in person? Like, turn on some music and just
Right.
go
Right.
for it. Like, it's okay if you, like, the first thing you do isn't solo as you're
Right.
figuring this out. And you could go for like a nature walk with a friend and realize, I hate people. And you need to do it alone. And that's fine too.
But that's all part of your discovering, figuring
Yeah.
out what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
You
Very
know?
much so. And so again, it's not about judgment. It's about figuring it out. And there are just like anything with spirituality, just like anything with your connection to universe and mindfulness, there are many different options. There is no one way to do it. There's no one way to be. And so be patient with yourself as you're learning. Do you like doing things solo? Do you like doing them in a group? Do you like sweating and breathing? Do you like slow movement? And also with this, we're talking about physical movement, even if it's breath work or anything like that. Honor your body where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do not think that you have to walk 3 hours at the, like,
Right.
what did you guys see my face at the beginning of this thing when she's, she walks 3 hours and I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I love that she does it. God bless. Go and do you, boo. But I'm sitting there going, was it like a life or death situation? Was I walking to a hospital because I'd been shot? Like, why would I walk for 3 hours? No.
Right. Right.
And so for me, it's like, oh, no, don't push your body. And it's the same with yoga and Pilates. So I talk about these things, but I have a lot of modifications for my body and what I need during a class. So if you're not doing it exactly like somebody else, that's fine. Don't push your physical vessel past what it can do. So that's also something that you have to be gentle with yourself with, that it's not overdoing it, hurting yourself, injuring yourself, because then you're going to be in a cast and like messaging me going, yeah, but I tried. And it's like, I love that you tried, but maybe you shouldn't have tried that.
Well, you bring up something about expectations and goals. Like you said, you set goals and you're very happy when you reach them. But I think too often we compare ourselves to someone else, you know, and where they're at and how they're doing it and whatever. And then as far as goal setting, I think it's great to have way out there goals. Do you know what I mean? But I also think it's important, at least for me, to have the steps to reach that goal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like you're saying, as far as walking, it's like, okay, so I walked around the block today. That was very good. Let's see if I can do it again tomorrow, maybe increase it a little bit or whatever. And if I can't, if I have to take a day off, it's like, that's okay. I can sit and do my dance, you know?
Exactly. Like today is actually the day that I go to Pilates, and I skipped it today because I had to honor my body and do a different kind of self-care, which I will be talking about on TikTok later tonight. Because it has nothing to do with this, but it will be discussed because it came up in my life. And it was like, nope, I need my body, like my body needs to rest. And so I literally spent most of the day like in bed, just laying there, watching a movie, just like, yep, I am an upturned turtle. But that's what my body needed today. It did not need to go to Pilates and do 100s at all.
Yeah, but you bring up something else though, too, that meditative activity and sacred movement can be a form of self-care.
Yes.
You know, there's, you know, like we're talking about sacred movement and meditative activity having crossovers, right? I think that goes hand in hand with the self-care too.
Definitely. Definitely. So we are actually, I love the fact that we're like, this one's going to be short, and we're still rounding up on an hour. So I would like to challenge you guys to explore what your sacred movement and active meditation is, and to just be curious about it, and then drop it in the comments. Send me a message, anything like that. Absolutely. We're here to learn about that kind of stuff. We want to hear about your experiences. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, I'm Lily with Lily of the Light. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always DM me, or you can visit my website, lilyofthelight.com, for any of the events to talk about this kind of stuff and experience that. And then if you have any questions for Suzi, I'd be happy to pass them along. She does not currently have a website, so we will not be bopping her website out yet. She's not quite tech savvy. It's going to take her a hot minute. We don't judge. We don't judge.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Definitely. I appreciate you too. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful evening and continue to stay a spiritual badass.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.